Here, welcome everybody back to the second episode of the Tribe Talks podcast. Once again, I am joined by my good friends Carthrick and Wolfie. Would you guys like to say hello?
Hello.
Good. Don't forget we're on a podcast, so people won't necessarily see your faces.
Right. I'm sitting there raising my glass and cheers, everybody. I'm like, wait a minute, podcast, right?
Yes. In this episode of Tribe Talks, we're going to be communicating through interpretive dance. For all you listeners at home, please listen to the tap dancing segment. It will be in Morse code.
God.
So, how's your week's been, ladies and gentlemen? GAC has just started. What's the result so far?
1-on-1 so far. Waiting to see how it goes. Wednesday was fun. Getting used to all the thickness. Oh
my god,
going around. Yeah,
those chunky crumbs, man.
It's rough. It
is.
It is next level. I know you weren't having too much fun with that either. It's just oh boy.
No, those thick crumbs, those extra defense. Oh my god! Like, luckily for me, I think that's kind of one of the sort of differing factors between the sort of top end of Kyber 2 and when you start going into Kyber 1 and climbing higher, is that the refined Datacrons don't really exist at the top end of Kyber 2, so you might see a couple of people with, maybe they've got 150% defense. You're not seeing those monsters with 250, 350% defense just yet. Or at least I haven't. I've seen some that are okay, but nothing like mind-boggling. Not like Kart's end of it, where he's like, 350% defense crumbs.
Every team has 150 defense plus, if not more.
Yeah, no thank you. No thank you.
Starts to get a little bit taxing, and that's on top of course, the 15% with the health and the protection. And it's just, it's.
You have to basically relive your entire, not relive. You have to rethink your offensive strategy because you're relying heavily on percent health effects to carry you through, or instant defeats to deal with like the super thick characters. Like even C versus Malgus right now can get really challenging because the timeout risk if you don't have enough damage with your C, or you don't link things properly, you could time out with Malgus still present, or
you definitely want to be taking in what, right? You got to take in what there to make sure they haven't got the, if they've got that always applying ability block, the irresistible ability block, take that what in, otherwise you might be caught with your pants down.
That's a challenge too to get around.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind Datacrons in practice, when we're using them and stuff. It's just sometimes there's a particular set that is just incredibly frustrating. And after that sort of 3 to 4 month period of that Datacron set being around, it's just like, I'm so done. I am so done with this data set. Let's move on. Let's try something new, something squeaky. Because there's sometimes Datacrons can have fun effects, right? It can be cool.
Well, yeah.
Like the Aelacron was fun. Getting those bonus turns every time. Was it she stuns?
Stun.
Or when she attacks out a turn?
Whenever she stunned, she gained a bonus turn.
And she stuns all the time. Well, she stuns on all attacks, doesn't she? She just needs to crit.
It was like attack. It was like attack at a turn, Galactic Republic stunned or something like that. So it was constant.
Yeah, that was it. Over there. Yeah.
That was level 6. Level 6 was when they used their abilities. They stunned, and hers
was a bonus turn on stun or something.
Yeah, the bonus turn on stun, and so then you could just chain it back and forth. It was a good time.
It was sexy. It was fun. And the thing is that sort of one wasn't as abusable on defense. Right. You could abuse that so much harder if you manually play that on offense compared to if it was just set on defense. I'm not saying it's not irritating, but it's not as irritating. Let me just fix Wolfie's screen once again.
They could call one of the other 4 characters instead of calling her constantly. So there was no AI that was going, whoa, well, this Datacron means we only call Ayla. It's like, no, that's not how the game plays it. So
no.
Even the current one without the thick cron still has some interesting mechanics, but it's just the thick ones are universally applicable, while the other ones are super niche. Where it's like, the health and protection recovery on days could be kind of fun. You could have a lot of fun with that with Zeb in with the new Phoenix team with Rex.
This is the stage we got to. Datacrons Phoenix. Everything's about the Phoenix right now.
So
Wouldn't have thought it.
like if you
Weird spot in the game.
if Zeb is constantly recovering 10% health and protection on top of all the recovery, it's like he's gonna get really hard to deal with without a good team. But unfortunately, Iden still just turns them into mincemeat. So it's gonna be a team that doesn't see much defensive action. It's gonna be a team that's all gonna be about offense. So. Yeah, which is fine. I mean, there's the theory behind it right now is that there's a chance for it to take out some of the better Lord Vader comps. That's cool. And then there's a chance for it to take out some of the well, it's already beating Lord Vader without a good team.
They ran away from Lord Vader and Rebels that cannot be going and killing in the game. I disagree, good sir.
No. They ran away from Darth Vader and Rebels, not Lord Vader. It's different.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Different, but same.
I retract. I retract.
Anyways, it is winning, but it's like like the team that we have footage of right now. It's TIE Fighter Pilot and Tarkin with Thrawn and Moff Gideon. No, sorry, Thrawn and Maul. There's the right name.
I was gonna say.
So it kind of has some legs because Maul is like one of the bigger threats of which you'd want to do it or not. But I think Royal Guard being there would Vader would get the ult very quickly because the mark. Because like the reason they can put it off so long is that there's no debuffs on the team, and or for a while, so the ult takes forever to charge. But it was doable, so I mean, there's a possibility in that, but I wouldn't bet the farm on it working in high level. Kuiper.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to push into it, but it's right now it's kind of gearing up Rex and placing that much of a priority on him is probably going to be a couple of months for me yet. I know Rex is a requirement for GL Leia, but there's the whole other, team to go around with it. So I think we're probably not going to see mainstream Phoenix widespread for at least 6 months.
Well, they'll be. I almost want to say that they'll be on the next Datacron set.
Captain Rex will for sure.
Though.
At least Rex will be. Phoenix faction and Rex should be on the next Datacron set along with Jedi and Jedi Knight Cal.
Yeah.
They might throw a dark side in there. I don't know who, because we haven't had any dark side characters since the Marin, and she's already claimed.
I can't see them going back to Sith Empire. It's true.
I can't either.
We had full dark side Cron sets, didn't we? So they might just do light side only Crons. I mean, it could happen.
Yeah, it's possible. It just depends on what they do for the early levels, because the dark side teams, while obnoxious with the current set that's out right now, if they start giving turn meter to the light side teams moving forward, that you're just you're gonna be too powerful. Light side's gonna. It doesn't matter if you've got 300% defense. If I can guaranteed go before you every time.
Yeah, I don't think any of us wants to see that. Oh God, here we go. Here we go, baby. That's the insult to injury right there. Okay. Relic up your nieces. Let's go, baby.
Would love to see it, because I don't think Ewoks are ever gonna get through like a thick Lord Vader cron with like 200% defense. I think that would just stop it outright.
Immune to dots, and they attack out of turning. There's something there they can turn meter train them. I believe it. Like whenever they get inflicted with a dot, they dispel it and gain turn meter. What they do for Poggle? I mean, Poggle dispels stuff and gains turn meter. Let's say they don't do something there. Auto cleanse turn meter.
The level 6 can be all Ewoks ignore defense, and I know they don't do much damage anyway.
Well, the true damage is what's supposed to help with that. Yeah, the true damage is supposed to help with that, but it's still like, I think the only way that's going to become like even remotely potable is if you take like all your Ewoks to R8, and that way they actually have enough base damage to actually do something.
So you're saying the Gerbil is there? He's ready. The Gerbil will be laughing, man.
I'm all for it, but this is one team where I'm just like, I don't see the point of doing this unless there's something I'm missing with her. Yeah, unless there's something I'm missing with her, it just doesn't seem like she's doing enough to elevate the fact. I mean, it will do more than they were. This is a fact, but like the last thing I need is another B team. I don't need more B teams. I need things I can punch.
How
up
about this,
significantly.
Kath? How about this? How about you invest just to go back and play the C-3PO event with Nisa and walk all over that team? I mean, that's got to be worth a couple of volts. Surely.
I already do that because all my Ewoks are R5. Like they're already walking all over the event.
No,
So
never mind.
already did.
Yeah, I did that last podcast. I replayed the event because I wanted to see what Leia looked like again. And that was the same thing. Like I just went through and like I could have autoed it. I lost one Ewok, Elder revived it, and they have trash mods.
Oh man.
So
I remember that.
Must be nice.
I remember that event so clearly in my mind. That for me, that event for me was the most frustrating legendary, and probably still to this day was the most frustrating legendary event ever to compete in. You know, like the Chewbacca one was annoying, but when I played the Chewbacca event, I believe because I missed it the first time. I think I had something like Grief Karga and Mando came out or something like, and it just made it so much easier.
Oh, okay.
You know,
so much easier.
So I didn't have to worry. I was like, well, that's easy. Yeah. So when I played the C-3PO event, it was just like, ugh. I think I've got like Gear 11, or I had back then Gear 11 and one Gear 10 Ewok, and it was just so RNG heavy. It was just like, how many assists do they get? Who do they kill? Have they killed Elder turn 1, reset? Oh my god. That had me pulling teeth, man.
On them, make them fast as hell, make sure others there. This was back before the Journey guy that did the thing, so it was like, now or you gotta wait 3 months for it to come back, and it was like, fuck that, I'm not waiting. So I went Year 11, I put 2 Zetas on the team, all my best mods possible. Oh yeah, we were not screwing around.
I mean, you know, the event then was cool because C-3PO, obviously C-3PO is a massively important character in Star Wars lore, and he's a fan favorite and all this sort of business, but he was such a cool character to have for the CLS team, and CLS is in such a unique position of being like a really old legendary that's had a couple of updates throughout the years that keep him relevant. Maybe not like, you know, GL level, but at least he's been relevant. So it was really cool to be like, oh, C-3PO translation, low cooldowns, that's amazing. You know,
somebody made the mistake of putting a Basti lead JML with Watt and TW, so I took CLS and just shot Watt in the face and then took down the team. It's beautiful.
Yep. I love it when I see that team. I'm just like, so you want to lose? Like it was a really cool defensive team until people figured it out, and then it was just a really easy defensive team. Like
it's one of those things where it's like it works in certain niches, and then after that it doesn't do anything, and people are just like, no, it's impenetrable, and I'm like, well, that's unfortunately not how the game works.
No, I mean, let's face it, nothing is right.
Well, but mechanics aren't the way that AI treats the mechanics is never the way a player would treat the mechanics. So it's like you either have to curtail the team to play it out properly. So you eliminate certain like characters so that they don't mess it up, or you just have to figure out how the AI plays it and then build a team so the AI can plays it naturally the right way, which is usually impossible.
Well, I remember when that team first sort of gained prominence, a lot of people, because Watt hadn't been out for crazy long, right? So there were a bunch of those sort of mid-tier players that maybe only had 3 stars or 4 stars or 5 stars. So you'd see the occasional player have like a gear 4 Watt, but he's got the Zeta, so they put it on defense, and he's just like, well, he's not going to survive one shot from Han. So Han's just like, up, and now you have no tech. These days, obviously, a lot of people have got like an R7 Watt because he's a requirement for Lord Vader?
JMK,
thank you.
Yeah, JMK.
So it's like, you still have the potential of surviving an opening barrage from a CLS team on Watt, but you're never really going to survive the opening barrage plus 2 AoEs where he's got, you know, expose on him as well. So it was in a funny place when it first came out. I remember people were hitting the roof saying, this team is impossible to kill. JML is just recovering all his banners. His protection
I need to record my my Nightsisters versus Jabba fights for you to laugh at. It's the dumbest fight in the world, but it's hilarious to watch because you literally kill Vader by sneezing on him to death. So
I mean, that's disgusting.
As long as you get to the Jabba, not Vader, Jabba.
Yeah.
We get to the Jabba left, the only one left, and you have at least one Nightsister dead, preferably either Talzin or Asajj, or Old Daka, it doesn't really matter. And then you just put on auto basic, and what happens is that the plague ramps exponentially. Like you'll get like the 200s on it, but plague damage goes under protection.
Yeah.
So what happens is that all you do is like you just ignore his bonus protection, his protection up from losing turn meter. Like you ignore all that and you slowly just watch his health bar progress to the right. And it takes like literally within the first minute you'll kill everybody off because the plague spreads so rampantly and they can't deal with it because they're not GLs. So the whole team dies off really quickly. And then the remaining 4 minutes, because you will get down to the last like 30 seconds of the battle, is just watching plague stacks go between 100 and 300 all battle.
Oh god.
And you're just like,
is that from a Datacron?
Like, for me, it's
what's
it's
powering
it's a level 6 on the Nightsister Cron. Whenever an ally is revived or defeated, they inflict 2 stacks of plague.
I understand it now. Yeah.
So with Talzin lead, when they get revived, it counts as a revive, so it inflicts plague. When they die, it counts as that. And then Marin also gives plague stacks whenever their ally does it on her own end too. So she also gives a stack for each of that too. So they gain like 6 stacks every time somebody goes down. So it just scales crazy. Lots of fun to watch, but it's just like for me, the only reason I'd run it is because it's super cheap. Super cheap counter to Jabba that doesn't require me burning a GL, and so it's like even if I have to tap it and clean it up with
it's got its value, right?
Then
so you're losing your Daka, but definitely depending on where you're at. But it's a nice to be able to use Nightsister to kill a GL.
Yeah, but Daka these days, she only gets really used with Slacker, and who's got that guy? I mean, come on. Nobody likes Slacker.
Entirely unimportant GL. It's just, who even has them? Jeez.
Steals everything. Slacker takes everything and goes and beats Lord Vader.
Oh, man.
Because when you're facing a Lord Vader that has, 300% defense, the only way you're going to get around this team is by ramping past it. And so you take Slacker with armor and Watt, and then 2 tanks to eat damage, and that's the strategy. You just put down the tech, the weapon tech, 2 stacks of Beskar, and then just siphon. You'll go like 3 minutes of like, I'm doing nothing, and then
you'll
all
like
of
one
a sudden,
tap him
one AOE, the entire team dies.
Yeah.
Eventually, you might sort of do something. Sorry, Scrub.
Yep, no, it's all good, dude. So good. Well, I think Slacker probably has the most ridiculous ramping of mastery, right? Out of everybody.
Well, yeah. Oh,
he's got the highest ceiling.
Yeah. He steals mastery as he goes, but you can steal. They're like everyone, especially where I'm at, everyone's like R9. So it's like you're stealing tons of mastery. Yeah. So like by the end, you're hitting for like 500,000 to 1,000,000 damage on a basic, and so you'll eventually.
That's actually really good to
kill him.
He the thing about Slacker's mastery ramping as well is it almost works like compound interest, right? Because he'll siphon some mastery, and then his base mastery is increasing by a percentage. But when he siphons again, it's increasing his new base mastery by a percentage. So each time you do it, as the longer the match goes on, he's actually ramping more mastery at a faster pace. If you know what I mean. You start off with £1 with 10% interest, you get £1.10, and then you're getting 10% or whatever it happens to be based on the siphon stacks that he's got. But there's 2 elements of it, right? There's how much siphon stacks has he got, and what's his mastery. It's kind of nutty.
I don't think it's going to compound like that. It's just keep on siphoning, just based on whatever his siphon is, and it'll just stack on and add on to whatever his mastery over there. I don't think it's like.
I'm pretty certain I looked at it.
I think it just adds on.
I'm pretty certain I checked it in Sugar.gg.
You gain a percentage of mastery equal to this unit's siphon stacks until the end of the encounter, and the target loses that much mastery.
So you're just tacking that percentage that you gained onto the total
as your siphon ramp, you gain more and they lose more in the same process.
But I thought the idea was you don't, because it's not like you don't gain siphon based on what you're taking from the opponent. What's happening is the opponent lose that percentage and you gain a percentage based on your mastery.
No,
that's the element that's happening, right?
Siphon stacks from using your stasis strike and your
yeah,
basic.
no, I know that. I know that. I'm talking about the rampant mastery
based
here.
on the siphon, not based on what you already have. What you already have is just what you already have, and then you're gaining based on whatever the siphon is.
Yeah,
it's just going to add on to whatever you have.
But let me try and explain this. Like the thing I'm seeing it as is the amount of mastery you gain is based on your siphon, which is fine. But the siphon is a percentage, right? So that percentage. So say you've got 1,000 mastery, you're gaining 1,000% mastery, right? Correct. If we're just using this for round numbers,
you're getting an amount of mastery. It's not like they say it as percentages, but it's like weirdly expressed like in the game. It's not actually.
One second.
It's a percentage, yes, but it's not like multiplicative like that.
I'm pretty certain there's 2 elements to it. That's what I'm trying to get to. Let me just open up this. I think it's under Furious Onslaught, isn't it? Yeah.
It's the AoE, yeah.
Percentage mastery, enemy save, physical damage.
Sorry, just looking at the
so
Sligo.gg page. For anybody who's not aware, you can go and look at the mechanics and everything, and give you a whole description of what's going on.
Modify stat mastery by 1% times context value. So the context value is based on his siphon stacks, right? So 1% times your siphon, but the amount of mastery that you're gaining is 1% of your current mastery. That's what I'm trying to say. There's 2 elements to it.
No, it's not based on your current mastery. It's your opponent.
Okay. Well,
right.
No, that's not.
Well, no, I mean that
either.
No. You're siphoning based off of your opponent over there, and you're siphoning based off of your siphon.
No, you gain a percentage of mastery equal to the unit siphon, to this unit's siphon stacks. So if you have 100 siphon stacks, you gain 100% mastery, and then the target loses that much mastery. So.
Yeah, there's 2 because when you're targeting a GL, for example, GLs don't lose their mastery, but you still gain your mastery. So it's not like it's literally, it's not, to use RAM, it's not health steal. It's not like you're taking it away and literally adding it. It's doing 2 separate calculations. It's doing you lose, but I also ramp. So it doesn't matter if you siphon their mastery or not because GLs are immune to it, right?
So it says gaining percentage of mastery. So it's gaining percentage of mastery equal to the unit siphon until the end of the counter, and that target loses that much mastery. So the master that were in question. So Karth was talking about this earlier. He was saying, "I'm facing Relic 9G Lord Vaders. I'm facing all of this stuff over here. So I'm gaining more mastery because I'm siphoning from the Relic 9s as opposed to from the Relic 7s. Because the mastery that's in question is that you're siphoning is from your opponent."
Yeah.
We don't think that's true, though.
Your siphon mastery.
I think they're losing a lot more mastery because they're higher, right? I know how it reads, but I don't think that's how in the actual mechanics how it's working for the character. You know, like because you don't add mastery based on how much you take away. You add mastery based on your stack of siphon. If we ignore the whole siphoning aspect of it, think of it as just an attack, and every time you do this attack, you're gaining a percentile of mastery. That's the way we should be looking at it. It doesn't matter about the opponent's mastery. They'll lose more if they've got more relic levels, but you're not gaining more because you're gaining 2% of your mastery. That's not what it says here.
The siphon, if you have 100 siphon stacks, then it's gaining your. Say you have 200 siphon stacks, the 200% of that. It's that percentage by your opponent's mastery.
No. That's not what it says here. So that's not what it says in the mechanics. It says modify stat mastery, not modify stat opponent's mastery. It's modifying your own mastery. That's what it's saying
modifying
inside.
Your own mastery. It's modifying your own, value? But the target is
the context value would be siphon. Context value is siphon, right? So
you're modifying your own, but you're siphoning from your opponent.
Let's see.
Look at the very first part of it. It says it's at the very first part of the breakdown quarry count. It says put the target from this quarry, the query. I can't say it.
Query.
query into context value. So you are using the target's mastery as your mastery modifier. So when you target a Relic 9 Royal Guard, you are gaining 100% of that target's mastery, and they're losing 100% of that target's mastery.
If you have 100 siphon stacks,
okay.
so 100 siphon stacks will be the 100.
Obviously, that's the
context
variable, right?
value is what you're multiplying by. That's what's changing.
Yeah.
But it uses their base mastery as what's being used. So you can keep stealing.
Yeah.
The mastery even if it goes negative, because Kylo can push characters into negative mastery.
So if their base mastery is 75, just because they have it as like a regular fucking number, then if you have 200 siphon, you'll gain 150 mastery numbers just tacked onto your total number of mastery.
We're here to complicate things.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to wrap my head around this, right? Because that goes into context value. Put the target from this query enemy, but that's just looking at the stun. Why is it looking at a stun there? Paralysis.
No, that's
where active. Oh, sorry, that multiplies it, doesn't it? Right, he doubles up how much siphon, how much he siphons if they're stunned, right? Okay, yeah. Sorry, I just needed to wrap my head around that part. Generic enemy stun. So that can't be that part, right? Oh, okay, yeah, fine. Just wish they would actually, because that's just the query count there is just generic query enemy stun. That's just looking at if he's stunned.
Yeah, and like Arthur was saying, in practice, you'll see you'll end up getting hitting a lot harder siphoning off of a Relic 9 versus siphoning off of a Relic 7.
What if I stat my mastery by negative times 100%? Okay, yeah, that's if they're a GL. You don't. That's modifying that's the enemies not losing any. It's not looking at yourself, right?
No.
Yeah. Modify stat management. Yeah, so that's if the previous effect successfully executed, modified by 2% because that's the doubling up if they happen to be stunned. Mastery increased. Yeah. Percentage mastery is unit siphon at the end of the counter. I still don't think it siphons based on the. I still don't think it does, but it's not how it reads. It's not how it reads. Gain a percentage of mastery, not a percentage of the opponent's mastery, equal to this unit's siphon. That's how the actual siphon reads.
But the previous part of it says that you deal physical damage to all enemies. Kylo siphons mastery from the targeted enemy.
Yep.
Double it if they were stunned.
Yeah.
Which can't be resisted.
But that, okay. But the siphon, that's him taking away their mastery. That's not necessarily add it to your own. It's just they lose mastery.
It's all together in one.
Then in the kit,
it's all one mechanic.
Yeah. In the kit, they then explain what siphon's mastery means, which is you gain a percentage of mastery equal to the unit siphon.
This unit siphon, exactly.
And that's what we're saying. It's all one mechanic because you're siphoning from the target. It's the same exact mechanic of you getting that siphon. It's all one thing.
No, I know this, but I still think we fundamentally disagree on how this acts. Because
you're just
doesn't say.
You're just.
I think this is how they. I think this is how they've tried to separate it from being GLs are immune to it. You know, I think they've had to do it in two separate calculations because they're like, well, we don't want GLs to lose their mastery, so they've just done you ramp. Exactly. Well, they're immune to being drained, but they're not immune to Kylo gaining mastery. Because if you look at it in that context, he's not siphoning mastery. You know, he's just ramping.
He is.
Yeah, he is
he's
literally
still siphoning mastery. He's just immune.
He's just not taking.
They're just not losing any. Yeah. So he's still doing the effect. They're just immune to it.
They just don't have.
It's very strange.
So the way I'm looking at it. Okay, let's just say, for argument's sake, Kylo has got 100 mastery, right? I know he doesn't. He'll have 70 mastery or 85
mastery or
and
siphon.
100 mastery and 100 siphon, right? He goes up against literally any character, a GL, let's say. He goes up against a GL. He's got 100 siphon and 100 mastery, and he does a swipe. He's gaining 1%. Right, per stack of siphon, so he's gaining 100% mastery. He's looking at his current mastery. He's got 100 mastery, so he's getting 100% of that. He's getting 100 mastery, right?
No, I don't know.
That's where you got
You
wrong.
can't answer that. You can't answer that question until you know what your opponent's mastery is. Because you're
Doesn't say
siphoning from
here.
your opponent.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter in GL's case,
from,
right?
From target enemy.
Yeah, the mastery.
But that's a separate calculation.
No, it's all the same thing. It's all one thing.
No, because look at this one sentence.
It's all one thing.
Kylo siphons mastery from the target enemy. Doubled if they're stunned, which can't be resisted.
Yes.
Okay. Nowhere does it say there that he adds that to himself.
Siphon mastery is the below there. Siphon mastery gain a percentage of mastery. And the siphon mastery is from the target enemy.
No, it's from the buff you've got. It's the siphon.
Hold on.
You are gaining a percentage of mastery equal to your siphon. That's what it says. It's not saying based on the opponent's mastery you're gaining.
Target enemy. Okay, replace siphon mastery with what it says down there. It says Kylo gains a percentage of mastery equal to this unit's siphon until the end of the encounter, and target enemy loses that much mastery from target enemy. Just replace replace that yellow siphon mastery with the text below. Kylo gains a percentage of mastery equal to this unit's siphon from the target enemy. It's all one thing.
From the target enemy. Okay, I wonder what chat is saying about this. See, I wish there was a way for us to test this. There is actually a way to test this. Right? All you need is a variable. Yes, there is. There easily is. You need a target that's, say, relic level 1, and you need a constant being your Kylo, right? Then you need the exact same target, but say he's relic 9, so we can get a clear distinction. And then you need to compare the damage as it ramps every time you siphon. Yeah, because theoretically, in your scenario, in your scenario, he should ramp damage slower, right? Because he's siphoning their mastery.
You would need a third unit, because if you're siphoning from somebody, then if somebody relic 1 versus relic 9, their defense, all their resistances, all that stuff will come into play too. So you would need a third target, say a tank that is sitting there that you can go and hit every once in a while and see what your actual damage output is going to be on that guy versus the first one.
Okay.
So you could test that, yeah.
Yeah, fine. You could definitely test it. You just need to have a variable there. You need to be able to swap out the target GL, because they're never going to lose their mastery, right? So you'll never be able to siphon below 0. So that should show a constant. And in my mind, it shouldn't be a different damage calculation based on how much he's ramping. That's how I see this, because he's.
So what happened? The short of it is, this is what happens. It's like, let's say you're swiping versus Lord Vader, who is relic 9, so he has 75 mastery. You have 100 siphon stacks. So you gain 75 mastery when you swipe against Lord Vader. Okay?
Yep.
Then let's say the next time you get to your swipe, you're at 150 stacks of siphon. Okay?
Yeah.
So when you swipe the next time, you will gain 112. And then add that to your current mastery.
Yes.
So you were at 75, you would be at 150, and then you would add this, and you'd be at 270 something.
Well,
260 something.
So hang on, what was his hit? You said his stacks of siphon on the second attack were 150?
Yeah. So you'd multiply the mastery of Lord Vader by 1.5.
Yeah.
So you would gain 112 mastery on the on that next swipe. And then when you get
whereas I think what is happening is, say we've got that same 150, yeah? So you've got the same 150, and he's got 150 mastery. What you're doing is you're multiplying 150% times 150, which is your mastery. So that's going by 1.5, and then you've got 225 mastery. Instead of, and then the next time, say we've still got 75 mastery, we're gaining 0.75, so we times that by 1.75, and it'll go to 393. So because your base mastery is increasing and you're multiplying your mastery by your siphon percentage, this is going to ramp. This is compound interest, as I was trying to explain before, because your base is increasing.
But
it's not.
But
it is though.
It's not.
No,
it is though. It says it's stacking.
It just tax right on. It stacks on top of it. It's not multiplicative.
It's additive. It even says it in the mechanics that it's additive.
Yeah. No, I know it's... Okay. It does say it's additive there.
Yeah.
But so just tacks right on top of it.
So what
this is the reason, if you look at Lord Vader, this is the
like,
reason that they changed the way his stuff works. Because Slacker can go and siphon mastery from his opponent, and it depends on how strong his opponent is. Lord Vader siphons mastery from his team, so they're like, ooh, let's make him siphon mastery from his team based on how all our relic levels are, so we need to invest more on our team. So,
no, I understand
Kylo
that concept.
siphons from his opponent's relic levels, so you need higher relic levels over there. Lord Vader is the opposite; he siphons from his team, so you need higher relic levels over there. They learned their lesson with that one. So...
Okay, fair.
So, in short, what happens is that every time he swipes, he adds a percentage based on the opponent's mastery.
So so say they've got 75 and he's got he's getting 400% times their mastery. Okay,
Them using percentages really fucked this whole thing. They should not even have done that.
So he'll gain 300 mastery from that swipe and add it to whatever he has as a total. That's why Lord Vader or Slacker has this weird build, because the first few swipes aren't doing, especially versus Lord Vader, they aren't doing anything because you're not critting, so your siphon builds very, very slowly. Sure. And then once you get to a certain threshold, all of a sudden you're just destroying things because the multipliers on your damage stats get really insane. But it takes a while to build up enough damage from your mastery going higher and higher to get to reflect that. But that's what's happening, is you're stealing the mastery and then you're going up. But that's to a point where Slacker likes to steal different characters because there's different mastery to be stolen, and you want to bring everyone else down because Slacker can make them go negative. With their mastery. But
so if you have a choice, if you're facing a Lord Vader team, there's a Relic 9 Royal Guard and a Relic 7 Shore Trooper, siphon from Royal Guard. Don't siphon from Shore Trooper, siphon from Royal Guard.
Yeah, and that's why you stun them first too. It's not just
because it doubles up,
you stun them and you're getting double, so then you ramp faster. But
gotcha. Okay, I think I understand it now. Yeah. Well, no, I mean, I understood both concepts beforehand. I just didn't think that's how it was going because the mechanics worded it stupidly, in my opinion.
Yes, it makes it seem like it makes it seem like it's stealing it's increasing his mastery by the percentage. But what's happening is that you're stealing a percentage of their mastery, and then it adds to yours.
So that's the kind of funny thing about him then. So because if they let you siphon mastery from the opposing GL, it'd get to a point where he would stagnate, right? He just wouldn't increase any more mastery. Say it was just a GL left, and he siphoned, but he's already siphoned 100% of the GL's mastery. He wouldn't ever ramp any more damage, right? Because he's capped out.
It's just based on their base mastery. Because even the regular one, even if you siphon from a Relic 9 Lord Vader and Relic 9 Royal Guard, they'll actually lose mastery and everything. But they're not going to. It's not going to change the amount of mastery that you are ripping from them. It's still just based off of their base mastery, not their current mastery.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, because that was the only way to prevent Kylo from becoming worse as the battle went on, because it only takes a few swipes to push them negative. It's
I thought that's why they introduced the negative, right? So you can't go below negative, so you can't lower your own mastery by swiping, right?
They got rid of the negative mastery for Lord Vader because
because of
well, so you can still have negative mastery. You can. I've done battles where Slacker has swiped Kenobi enough times, and you just look at him wait a minute, where's Kenobi's protection? Oh, he has protection mastery. Oh, that sucks. It actually took away his protection. Because he lost that much mastery, and it actually was a thing. They stopped Lord Vader's ability to siphon negative mastery because he was stealing negative mastery from his team, and he was doing 1 damage, and it was really silly. It made me happy.
That is a little bit silly.
So they changed some of those things to interact differently, so they didn't make Lord Vader even worse. Which,
yay!
Yeah.
But anyways. Next, whatever we were talking about before this got derailed.
I can't even remember, but that's why we're here. We're here to just chat about shit. So we did talk about GAC, and then we started talking about Slacker, because, who needs him?
Because we were talking about the thickness crons. Oh god.
Oh yeah,
that's what it was.
crons.
We were trying to ramp up and stack through the thickness. That's what it was.
That's it.
how we got
down
here.
with the thickness.
Was...
Yeah, and that can be the name of this podcast episode then. Down with the thickness.
Perfect.
Delicious. Okay, perfect. So let's talk about the latest and greatest, the new king of fleet meta. The one ship that has surpassed both the Profundity and the Executor in all measures. How you guys finding your Leviathans?
In some fairness, 7-star is a different world than anything
Agreed.
below it.
Yeah, definitely.
7-star is not as fragile or as beatable by anything that's not Executor or Profundity.
Yeah.
Things still can, but sure.
Sorry, real quick. I thought when you were saying the new king of the fleet arena, I was waiting for you to say the Profundity. How are you guys enjoying being Leviathans with your Profundity?
I mean, you know,
Yes.
my Profundity is sitting quite happily back there in first.
Well, the funny part is too is that is that the Profundity, even if the Leviathan is able to capture your Profundity on offense, it will still likely time out because of the bug with the Interceptor, so that they can't kill your Y-wing and they just sit there and laugh at you maniacally as your team just times out.
It's fun.
But yeah, the overall on the Leviathan is that the 7-star investment makes it better to deal with the different mechanics that are in there, and changing your lineup too, because right now there are issues, like I told you the other day, like the dagger just doesn't do anything in the starting
No, it doesn't feel like it does. I mean, the only benefit I have from it is the cleanse. The cleanse can be useful. The bonus turn and the cleanse that he does can be useful. I know you're saying it counteracts your own ferocity, but below 7 stars it's not really an issue because you don't really gain much ferocity.
Yeah. So, it's true, but for me too is like I just rather run the scythe out there, because then the scythe goes the scimitar, sorry, not the scythe, the scimitar, and then you just let them wail on the B2 forever, and then you just go through your turns. You reinforce with dagger first, you reinforce with interceptor second, and then you blow up the Y-wing, and then the battle's just a piece of cake from there.
Gotcha.
And there's just some advantages to that, but I mean, like it's only one relic level higher scimitar, because I did it for platoons like 6 months ago. Yep. But the outside of that, it's like it does fine. It just the hard part of it is that it's just easily beaten even at 7 stars by the Profundity. Yeah. And if you happen to lose, like the biggest issue is that it's attacking with it. That's with the Profundity. That's only a risk. I think Leviathan's just going to on defense.
My problem is with just the statement. Like, as a fleet, if this came out without any hype, without any fanfare, it was just like, by the way, guys, we've got a new capital ship. It's on par with Profundity and Executor. I'd be absolutely fine with where it is right now, apart from the obvious bugs, like dazing your own team and killing the enemy ships. A plethora. Yeah, it's got so many bugs. Like, I'd be okay if that's how it was communicated. I'd be like, yeah, all right, fine, cool. But it's the way they've tried to sell it as this new meta fleet, and I look at it and I think offensively, it doesn't perform better than Profundity or Executor, or hell, even like Chimera and Executrix with optimal Empire lineups, and even with Sith ships, right? And defensively, it doesn't perform better than the Profundity or the Executor. So how is it better? If it's worse banners and it holds worse, where is the upside? Especially when the cost is so high. It's like, I don't get it. Either call a spade and say, yep, this ship is just on par with Executor and Profundity, and I'd even stretch to say it's probably not on par with them. That it baffles me. I'm like, it's not what they're selling it. That's the problem I have. I don't care if it comes out and it can beat shit, but it's just,
we'll
yeah.
We'll have to see once they fix all the bugs and everything, if it's going to be if it's still going to be performing as it is. If they fix everything and it's capturing the ship properly, it's doing all that stuff, there's no more bugs, no more nothing, and it's just now dumpstering on things, and it's the counters suddenly don't work as well. These things suddenly don't work as well. I will 100% change my tune. So I gotta withhold final judgment until we really see the ship performing. working as intended.
As long as they actually
So
fix the bugs, because it's like
Yes.
dazing your own team is really infuriating. You know, because that's just like you can't pull to assist, for example, like the mass assist from the Fury. You can't get that, so you don't get the debuffs. There's the have you seen the bug with the Millennium Falcon where you can have just one thermal detonator, and the enemy will cleanse all its debuffs every single time they get one debuff. It'll be like, oh, you ability block it, and it just cleanses immediately. The stun comes in, cleanses immediately. It's one debuff and it's cleansing constantly. And the fear cleansing itself. So the enemy's feared with the basic after the ultimate, and it just cleanses and they take a turn anyway. And like, come on, man, that's like supposed to be the useful ability my ship does now. So it's just,
and that's why I'm saying I don't know if I can really like make a judgment right now, because there's so many like little things which are like just screwy and bugged and whatever with it that, you know, it may change drastically. It may change like a couple little things that they got to tweak and get working right, and suddenly this is the new menace, which maybe profundity beats 60% of the time, and you know maybe it might have an empire counter that works 20% of the time. You know, it may end up being that crazy menace. So we'll see how that ends up going.
Yeah, I mean, we've got to tread carefully, right? We don't want to overtune anything. We don't want anything being completely unbeatable.
Right.
But
yes,
I feel like it should offer it needs to offer something. And I don't feel like it offers enough right now, because we don't need another offensive fleet. In my opinion, anyway.
and that's basically where like for me, I've got a 7-star. And I am comfortably winning versus everything I fight with it, no problems.
I'm mostly putting
play some things differently just because of the AI. You know, I want to make sure that my Mark 6 actually does it. But I mean, I'm like actively right now climbing in Fleet Arena. I'm going to have a 75, maybe 74 banner win here. No problems whatsoever. And the fight was never really in question. But that's the downside of fighting the profundity, is that's all a ruse, because if they get more assists, like I can't get the days out fast enough, or their opening salvo calls in a ton of people, and they get through my first life on the B2 on their first turn, and you know, things of that nature. They get their contract really quickly because my critical hit immunity gets dispelled. You know, there are things like that happen where then they can get ahead, which I think is kind of intentionally baked in there to do those things. Just so that you know you can't have a snowball's chance in winning. But once they iron out all the bugs, I think it's not going to be as bad as everyone's giving crap for. I think the CG just literally said we are not going to do another profundity where it's like 4 stars and dominating the Executor. It's like we want to be 7 stars.
Did they come out and say that?
No, but they never said anything about it having low star viability
no, they didn't.
either. So
right.
No, I'm okay with it. If it has to be 7-star to be, you know, what it's supposed to be, then I'm okay with that, because there has to be value behind having something 7-star. There has to be. It's the same in game, you know? You can't have a non-7-star character. That's fine. But I just want what they're saying it is.
That seems like they learned their lesson. Like, if people were able to get away with the 4-star profundity, okay, let's make it only work at 7 stars. Fuck you. Whale your way to 7 stars if you want to give a viable ship.
That was the conversation we had like a month ago, Scribe, where I was like, if this dominates the profundity at 4 stars, then I see literally no reason in game whatsoever
to take it to 7
stars besides mirror matches. But if that's the only reason, then nobody's really going to invest more into it, because why would you drop an additional 26,000 crystals on a character, on a fleet that you can just take the offense for the next 6 months until you can, you know, do a